Now, before the break, I mentioned that there were three 40-year-olds in the NHL that are really still making a huge impact. And if you watch them 20 years ago, they were the class of the NHL. And while they're obviously not the class of the NHL now, they're still more than competent players in the National Hockey League. These three players that I have in mind are Anaheim Ducks' Teemu Selanne, the Dallas Stars' Jaromir Jagr, and the New Jersey Devils' future Hall of Famer Martin Brodeur. Well, they're all future Hall of Famers. Let me just mention that. Not only are they still playing, but they are contributing largely in huge important roles, and they're all north of 40. And that is nothing short of legendary. Now, let's start with the 42-year-old, the oldest one here, Teemu Selanne. There was a lot of discussion 5 years ago as to whether or not Selanne would retire. Oh, excuse me, that was awful. That Selanne would retire after the Ducks were eliminated in the 2008 playoffs, by the Dallas Stars. You know, it kind of would have made sense if he did. He had a fantastic career at this point. He was 37, and he just won the Stanley Cup the season before. But he didn't, and he's been on an absolute tear ever since, one that basically nobody saw coming. Since the beginning of the 2008 season, Selanne has played 285 games, and he's scored 115 goals and assisted on 147 others for a total of 262 points. The last 5 seasons, he's averaged almost a point per game. You know when he started this? Like I said earlier, when he was 37 years old. No big deal. Just producing at an unbelievable rate when everyone thought he would be done by that point. Now, like I said earlier, he's 42. He's on the top line with the Anaheim Ducks. And he already has 14 points on the season. 4 goals, 10 assists. Now, I'm sure every fan of the Pacific Division that's not a Ducks fan just wants this guy to retire already because he's just killing them every time he's playing them. And, well, why would this guy retire if he can still play? The last 3 contracts he signed have all been for 1 year, and each contract has increased his salary. He is earning his paycheck as a legendary 42-year-old who's still got it and shows absolutely no signs of stopping, much to the dismay of everybody but the Ducks. Now, let's continue with the Pacific Division with another 40-year-old who's still playing, Jaromir Jagr. Now, Jagr was by far the biggest free agent signing the Dallas Stars have had in 4 years, because that's also coincidentally the first time they've had an owner who could fund the team in 4 years. This was a move that perplexed pretty much everybody outside of Dallas, even some of those in Dallas. The Stars, now maybe some of that confusion was also when the Stars also signed Ray Whitney, who was also 40 years old. So maybe some of that confusion stemmed from the Stars signing 2 40-year-olds instead of just Jagr. But the Stars had cap space, and, you know, they were willing to pay both larger sums of money than they would have received anywhere else. Jagr plays on the top line with Jamie Benn and Captain Brendan Morrow, and since that line has been assembled 4 games ago, that line has produced 5 of the team's last 9 goals. Now, one of those goals was Jagr's, who scored against the Edmonton Oilers in overtime to give the Stars the win. Jagr was an instant hit with the Stars, scoring the team's first 2 goals of the season in the Stars' home opener against the Phoenix Coyotes, and the goal he scored against Edmonton put him in the top 10 in goals scored in NHL history, tied with Hall of Famer Luc Robitaille. The person he's behind, his Pittsburgh counterpart, Mario Lemieux. Now, he's probably not going to catch Mario Lemieux. Lemieux has 692 goals as opposed to Jagr's 668. And oddly enough, Jagr currently leads the Stars with 8 points, 3 goals, and 5 assists. It's been a lot of personally. It's been a lot of fun to watch this guy play on my team, a team that I've been watching for 16 years, and it's still unfathomable to realize that there's a Hall of Fame player other than Mike Modano, Joe Newedek, and Ed Belfour playing on the Dallas Stars right now. It's a lot of fun to watch, and it's something the Stars fans should appreciate. He may not last this season, but his play is certainly something the Stars fans should cherish. And now let's move on to the Eastern Conference with Martin Brodeur. Brodeur has been starting for the New Jersey Devils since 1993 and has backstopped all 5 New Jersey Devils Stanley Cup Finals appearances, winning 3 of them, including, he performed in the Stanley Cup Finals last year, but as we all know, the Kings kind of beat them badly. He has 2 goals to his name. One of them was when he shot directly across the ice. The other one, he was the last person to touch the puck, not necessarily shoot it. And, of course, the only conceivable way, let me say, for a goaltender to score is when the opposing net is empty. Because if a goaltender scores on another goaltender in the net, that goaltender that got scored on should just quit. Because it's inexcusable. I can't think of another thing worse than that. Now, Brodeur, because of his puck handling skills, is directly responsible, along with, I would say, Marty Turco, too, because both of these goaltenders were very good at handling the puck behind their net. He is directly responsible for the trapezoid behind the net that restricts where the goalies can play the puck because he was so good at it. He's perhaps one of the best puck handlers the NHL has ever seen. And after the 2004-2005 lockout, the NHL wanted to increase scoring, and of course, one of those ways was to limit the goalie's ability or the goalie's areas to play the puck. And they were hoping, or it did work, obviously, that the NHL wanted to limit where the goalies played the puck. Now, he has 4 Vezina trophies to his name, which is the trophy given out to the best goalie in 2003, 2004, 2007, and 2008. It's really stunning he didn't win a Vezina trophy in the 90s. That's something that I did not think about till just now. Now, his career averages are a .223 goals against average and a .913 save percentage. How is he doing this year? 6 wins, including a shutout, 1 loss and 2 overtime losses, sporting a .229 goals against average and a .911 save percentage. So, even at 40, he's performing at his career averages. The Devils rewarded his stellar play last season with a 2-year contract worth $9 million, which actually was a little bit of a pay cut, but I think Brodeur is okay with getting $9 million over 2 years. Now, perhaps the most incredible thing is how many wins Martin Brodeur has. 662. This leads the NHL all-time in career regular season wins. He passed Patrick Waugh back in 2009 for that record. But let's put those numbers in even better context than they already are. The Anaheim Ducks, whose inaugural season was in 1993, when Brodeur became the starter, have 646 wins to their name throughout their franchise. Brodeur has more wins than the Anaheim Ducks. The Tampa Bay Lightning, who also started in 1993, have 594. Now, the Lightning, until the last decade, were a pretty bad team. They lost a lot more of their games than they won. But the fact remains is a goaltender has more wins than entire teams. But perhaps the most telling of the teams perhaps the most telling number here is the Columbus Blue Jackets, who have been around since 2000, have 345 wins. Guess how much Martin Brodeur has in that same time? 418. Now, that illustrates 2 things. One, Columbus Blue Jackets haven't historically been very good and have been the joke of the NHL for quite a long time. 2, Brodeur is a beast, and he's going to be in the Hall of Fame for sure. I would be hard-pressed to find out if anybody votes against him. Now, I just want to know, how do they do this? How do these 40-plus-year-olds still remain competent in one of the roughest games in the National Hockey League? It's incredible. I really want to know what they do fitness-wise, their workout routine, because I'm jealous. I want to be able to perform competently in my favorite sport at 40 years old. I'm not going to, but one can dream, right? These guys are, and I have a lot of respect for them, every one of them. It's a lot of fun to watch. Now, I don't forgive Martin Brodeur for 2000, but he's a legend, and when he's a Hall of Famer, I'm going to respect him forever because he's amazing. All three of those guys are amazing, and they're a lot of fun to watch. They more than likely won't be around much longer than this season, but everybody should cherish what these three guys have done for the league because it's incredible.